One of the best shows on TV right now is actually on HBO Max, but it has to do with the Showtime Lakers. It's called Winning Time, and it stars John C. Riley and Quincy Isaiah, and it's about the 80s Lakers and the early forming of the dynasty that came 5 titles in 9 years with the Lakers. But Magic Johnson isn't a fan of it. I'm going to talk to you and tell you why after the bumper. What's good people? My name is JeffLightsyJr. here with the Black Boss channel and Victory Formation. Thank you guys for tuning in. Be sure to hit the thumbs up button, like, share, subscribe, and notification bell because we upload every single day. Now, Winning Time is on HBO right now. It's actually highly entertaining. I love the show. I watch, I tune in every week about what is taking place, the early forming of the Lakers dynasty that took place during the 80s. Obviously, Magic Johnson was drafted in 79, and from there, this team took off from his winning the championship in his rookie year and 4 more over the course of the 80s. I think it was that year, 82, 85. And let me not get to messing it up, but they won a lot of titles. They won 5 titles. Boston won 3 over that 10-year span. But Magic Johnson actually isn't a fan of the show. He actually let it be known months ago when the show was in production that he wasn't going to be a fan of the show. And if you watch the show, you can kind of see why. But Magic goes into more detail in an interview that he did with Variety about the show. Now, actually, I'm going to show you, we'll take a look at the article from Entertainment E and really go into Magic's comments. So this is what Magic has to say. It says HBO and executive producer Adam McKay has given the Lakers the Hollywood treatment in winning team. I think they messed that up. But according to one legendary player, it's missing the magic. Basketball legend Magic Johnson made it clear he isn't a fan of the series, which is about the team's iconic Showtime era and based on Jeff Pearlman's 2014 book, Showtime, Magic, Kareem, Riley, and the Los Angeles Lakers. This is a quote from Magic. It says, first of all, you can't do a story about the Lakers without the Lakers, he told Variety in an April 5th interview. The real Lakers. You got to have the guys. Magic acknowledged that the cast features talented actors, including Quincy Isaiah, John C. Riley, and Adrian Brody as himself and the coaches, but stated, quote, I don't care who you get. The star said it wasn't just about the players, but the cheerleaders and other individuals who contributed to the games, giving a special shout out to Lakers cheerleader Paula Abdul. All the latest music and the latest dances, he remembered. You can't duplicate that. We entertain you and show you moves that you've seen only in nightclubs. So what Magic is talking about is what has actually been shown in the show. During the show, it talks about when Magic was drafted, it was when the Lakers were a dump. They were a dumpster fire, but they had just recently been purchased by Jerry Buss, Dr. Jerry Buss, the late great Dr. Jerry Buss, the former owner of the Lakers, and his family still owns the Lakers to this day. And during that time, Buss bought the Lakers and he bought the Forum. And during that time is when they transformed not only the Lakers on the court, but the Forum off the court. They transformed Los Angeles and the night scene in Los Angeles. The Forum was the place to go. And they're showing all of these things in the show. But also in the show, they get into the nooks and crannies of the personalities of those men. That includes Dr. Jerry Buss and how much he loved women. That includes Kareem Abdul-Jabbar and how he was kind of a bit of a prick. You know what I mean? Like, they're showing that. That includes Magic Johnson and how he was kind of a womanizer. That includes showing Norm Nixon, who was being played actually by his son, and how he was kind of a bit abrasive at the beginning when they drafted Magic Johnson. That includes Jerry West, who to me is getting the worst rap out of all of this. Jerry West, if anybody should be pissed about the way that they're being portrayed in this HBO series, it's Jerry West. They are making him look like a scumbag a little bit. You know what I mean? Like, they are really laying it on thick with Jerry West. Now, Magic, the only thing with Magic, the only bad thing about Magic that they're doing with him is the showing of all the women. But as we know, and as people who followed basketball in real life during that time, we found that Magic came out and tested positive for HIV. That's kind of what ended his career. And most people don't just get HIV by just being a goody two shoes, and they're kind of weaving and painting this narrative about how Magic potentially could have contracted HIV. So like that's what probably why Magic ain't too happy about what's going on. But Jerry West is getting the worst end of the stick. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar kind of looks like a dick a little bit, and he's starting to lighten up. We're only in 4 episodes in, but he's starting to lighten up a little bit. And Magic, like I said, made it clear that he wasn't going to be a fan of this before the first episode show. Now that we're 4 episodes in, you kind of see why. And so much so, he made it so much so clear that he wasn't crazy about this new show on HBO, that he's creating his own show. That he says has the seal of approval from all the Lakers, both, because he's still really close with Jeannie Buss, who owns the Lakers right now. He's still really close with his former head coach, Pat Riley. He's still really close with the Cap, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. And those interviews will be featured during his show that is coming out later this month in April on Apple TV. His show is going to be called, let me make sure I don't mess this up. They Call Me Magic. If I'm quoting from this article, it says, instead of dwelling on HBO's interpretations of events, Magic has focused his energy on, quote, They Call Me Magic, a 4-part Apple TV docuseries that has the Lakers seal of approval. The show, premiering April 22nd, features interviews from President Barack Obama, Larry Bird, Pat Riley, and other more high-profile figures. So that's what Magic's doing. He is so much against this HBO series. He said Magic been Magic for a very, very long time. Like he's done he's lived 10 lives. He's done more in his one life than some people would do in 10 lives, right? And so at any moment, he could have created his own docuseries. At any moment, he could have talked about, because I've seen the trailer for his docuseries, and I will be tuned in, just like I'm tuned into this show. I'm going to be tuned into Magic show. Let's not get it twisted. But at any moment, he could have created his own docuseries. But he waited until this HBO show got off the ground and picked up some steam and has actually got a bunch of viewers and a bunch of people highly interested in what's going on to say, yo, to hell with that show. I'm going to tell you the real from the real. I'm going to tell, y'all basing this off a book that was written by a man who didn't play on the team. That's cool. And there's nothing wrong with that. But I'm going to tell you from my perspective, I'm going to combat that narrative that they're painting of me, and that they're painting of Dr. Buss, they're painting of Cap, that they're painting of Jerry West, that they're painting of the Lakers, and they're painting of our team, real or not, true or not, real or fake, whatever. And I'm going to tell you what it's like from my perspective. I'm going to tell you, Pat Riley's going to tell you from his perspective. We'll probably have Jeannie Buss tell you from her perspective. President Obama's going to tell you from a guy who lived during that time that was, probably not doing much at the time, building his empire, right? What he saw when he was witnessing what was taking place in the 80s with the Lakers. And I'm going to combat what you guys are watching on HBO. It's all interesting. I love it all. Because I mean, obviously, when you do a Hollywood rendition of something, especially something that was pretty wild, like it is very well documented that the Lakers were wild back then. Dr. Jerry Buss was a wild man who owned a wild team that did a lot of winning and had a lot of fun. Not only did they win on the court, they went off the court too. They had a whole lot of fun doing what they were doing. And so, like, a lot of these stories are true, and they were pretty crazy in the real life portrayal. And then you add the Hollywood flair to it, and it is kind of dramatized. And I understand what Hollywood dramatizations can do in portraying different people. I've seen it. One of my another favorite show of mine is The Godfather of Harlem. And they're Hollywood, and they have a Hollywood portrayal of the Nation of Islam and the way the Nation of Islam dealt with Malcolm X, specifically when Malcolm spoke out about Elijah Muhammad. And I've spoken with members from the Nation of Islam, specifically Brother Nuri Muhammad. And he's like, have you watched that show? Like, he's on record, not just on my show, but on other shows, talking about, like, yo, when it comes to Hollywood, they really spice it up. Like so much so that they just blatantly lie. Like, they just tell blatant lies, all right, just to make the show more interesting. Because if they tell the truth and the boring truth, you're not going to tune in. You're not going to be talking about it. It's not going to be any fun. But if they spice it up and just tell you a blatant lie, something that just clearly didn't happen, then it makes for a better show. And so that is what I think is taking place with the Lakers in this winning time, uh, with Magic and all the players in the Lakers. It also took place with, the Godfather of Harlem in the depiction of the Nation of Islam. So I understand completely what Magic is saying, because Nuri actually watched the Godfather of Harlem and spoke about how, they were just blatantly lying on us. Magic is like, I ain't got to watch it. I knew there was going to be some lies, especially when they put a disclaimer that says, names in this show are real. The people that this show is depicting are real, but everything that we show ain't real. they put that disclaimer at the end of the show. So, make sure you understand that when you're watching it, but it's still entertaining nonetheless. Be sure to let me know what your thoughts on Winning Time, the show on HBO. Once again, my name is JeffLightsYJr with the Black Boss channel with Victor Information. Thank you guys for tuning in. Be sure to hit that thumbs up button, like, share, subscribe, and I will see you next time. Peace.